the US is imposing again a negative test from these travelers. Its requirement is that you must be 2 years and older. If you are coming from China, Hong Kong, or Macau, you must have a negative COVID-19 test result no more than 2 days before your flight departs. Also, this is regardless of citizenship or vaccination status. So this applies to all U.S. citizens and permanent residents and all non-U.S. citizens. You will need the COVID-19 viral test no more than 2 days before your flight, and you must show your negative result to the airline before you board your flight. So this is applicable if you are traveling to the US from Incheon Airport, Toronto Pearson, and Vancouver International Airport. Travelers from Seoul, Toronto, and Vancouver who have been in China, Hong Kong, or Macau in the past 10 days must have a negative COVID-19 test result no more than 2 days before flight, and this is regardless of citizenship or vaccination status. These passengers are required to have a negative COVID-19 test. Now, if you have COVID-19 in the past 90 days, you can also present proof of recovery. Those who had COVID-19 in the 90 days before their travel to the United States can instead show documentation of recovery from COVID-19. If you recently recovered from COVID-19, you may instead travel with one of the following forms of documentation. Either your positive COVID-19 viral test result on a sample taken more than 10 days but fewer than 91 days before your flight, or positive COVID-19 viral test result on a sample taken 10 days or fewer days before your flight, plus a letter from a licensed healthcare stating that your COVID-19 symptoms started more than 10 days before your flight. So let's talk about the 2 days instead of the 48 hours. So what is considered 2 days? The 2-day period is 2 calendar days before the flight's departure. So there's more flexibility to the air passenger and aircraft operator. For example, if your flight is at 1 p.m. on a Friday, you could board with a negative test that was taken anytime on the prior Wednesday. There are also rules for delays and short trips. If a trip is shorter than 2 days, a viral test taken in the United States can be used to fulfill the requirements, as long as the specimen was taken no more than 2 days before your return flight to the US departs. If the return travel is delayed longer than 2 days after the test, you will need to be retested before your flight or before your return flight. Now, what is the requirement if you are a passenger and you have a layover or in transit from these countries? Will you be affected or will you present a negative COVID-19 test? The answer is no. If you are a passenger and you have a layover from these countries, you are exempt from the negative COVID-19 test 2 days before your flight. This means that you don't need negative test if you transited through an airport in China, Hong Kong, or Macau en route to the United States from another country, or if you spent less than 24 hours in China, Hong Kong, or Macau. If you are an affected passenger, what types of tests are acceptable? Antigen tests are acceptable. For example, rapid antigen test. Also, viral antigen test and other types of antigen tests are acceptable. What are the types of tests that are acceptable? Nucleic acid amplification test or NAAT. So for example, RT-PCR test is an example of a NAAT type of test. Reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction RT-PCR test. Also, there are other tests that are acceptable. So let me provide you several examples. Isothermal amplification. There are several examples such as NEAR. So please take note of the wordings: TMA, LAMP, HDA, CRISPR, or SDA. These are all acceptable tests. Let's talk about rapid tests. Rapid tests are acceptable if they are a viral test that meet the requirements. Self-tests are acceptable. You can use a self-test, sometimes referred to as a home test, that meets the following criteria. There are several criteria. The first criteria is that the test must be a SARS-CoV-2 viral test, nucleic acid amplification test, NAAT, or antigen test. So you have two options with emergency use authorization from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration or the relevant national authority where the test is administered. Second requirement is that the testing procedure must include a telehealth service affiliated with the manufacturer of the test that provides real-time supervision remotely through an audio and video connection. So some FDA authorized tests include a telehealth service may require a prescription. Also, the telehealth provider must confirm your identity, observe the sample collection and testing procedures, confirm the test result, and issue a report that meets the requirements of CDC's order. Airlines and other aircraft operators must be able to review and confirm your identity and the test result details. You must also be able to present the documentation of test results to U.S. officials at the port of entry and local or state health departments if requested. Let's talk about the information that must be included in the test. You can either present a paper copy or a digital copy. So it doesn't matter if it's on paper or email or a certification. First requirement, the type of test must be included, indicating it is a NAAT or antigen test. Second requirement, entity issuing the results such as a laboratory, healthcare entity, or telehealth service. So this must be indicated. The third requirement is the sample collection date. A negative test result must show the sample was taken no more than 1 day before the flight, or a positive result for documentation of recovery from COVID-19 must show the sample taken was taken within 90 days before the flight. Fourth, information must show identifiers such as your full name plus at least one other identifier such as your date of birth or passport number. And then you must also indicate the test result. For those passengers who recently recovered from COVID, proof of recovery within 90 days of flying can be presented. People who have recovered from COVID-19 can continue to test positive for up to 3 months after infection. CDC does not recommend retesting within 3 months after a person with COVID-19 first develops symptoms of COVID-19. If you have had a positive viral test on a sample taken during the past 90 days and you have met the criteria to travel, you may travel instead with your positive viral test results and a signed letter from a licensed healthcare provider or a public health official that states you have been cleared for travel. The positive test result and letter together are referred to as document of recovery. Here are the specific requirements. First, a letter from your healthcare provider or a public health official that clears you to travel must have information that identifies you personally that matches the personal identifiers on your passport or travel documents. What are the requirements for permanent residents and U.S. citizens not coming from these countries? Here are the latest requirements. First, valid U.S. passport for U.S. citizens, and it does not need to be valid for at least 6 months. For permanent residents, foreign passport that is valid for 6 months and green card. Also, customs declaration form and arrival card. If you are a non-U.S. citizen but you are an immigrant or migrating to the U.S., here are the requirements. Foreign passport that is valid for 6 months, valid visa, CDC attestation form, check the latest requirements, customs declaration form, and then arrival card. If you are a non-US citizen and you are not an immigrant, here are the latest requirements. Foreign passport that is valid for at least 6 months. Valid visa even for transit passengers. Proof of vaccination or covered exemption from COVID vaccination. Also, CDC attestation form, customs declaration form, and also arrival card. So these are the requirements. If you have any other questions or comments, please post them down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Again, thank you guys for supporting my channel. And if you haven't liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. I always welcome new subscribers. Thank you guys for watching. I hope everyone is staying safe and have a great day.